everyone, it's Mark. Right, I'm having a bit play about with the old JS clocks today. Now I wanted to change the actual face of the clocks because, can you see the difference? And you see on the rev counter there, that one's still nice and black. Now the speedo, that's all faded and grey, and if you can see, I don't know if you can hear it rattling there, if you can see it, there's a little screw, one of the screws from the faceplates lying about in the bottom there. I always knew it, always knew how to screw loose, and that's official now. So what we're going to do is change the clocks. Now when I've taken the bits, the normal method for taking the clocks out here is to loosen the bezel on the back. So what people will normally do is get a flat screwdriver and they'll bend this bezel back here and then ease the face off. Now what worried me was that when you're bending that bezel, it's quite easy for this outer bit that's on show to sort of crease or kink. And when on further investigation, when I've looked at this, you can see here this one has actually been cut in the past when this has been changed. It leads me to believe that the original one might have been in kilometers per hour, and someone has actually put a new paper sticker on here that's in miles per hour, and it's pretty low quality because obviously it's faded over the years. But when they've replaced it, rather than bend that bezel back, what they've actually done is cut the clock off all the way around and then glued it back in place. So when I first looked at that, I thought, what a bloody hack job, that looks terrible. But the more you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Because as I say, the normal method would be to bend this lip back all the way around the bezel and then take the bezel off. But as I say, that can quite easily crease that metal bit that's on show there on the outer edge. So the more I think about it, that's actually quite a sensible way to do it. It's just to cut all the way around the plastic casing of the clock, take it out, change the dial, and then put the clock back in. So I think I'm going to go for that. If nothing else, it's an experiment, isn't it? Because most people do it the other way, so let's have an experiment and see how it turns out, eh? Is that a good idea, do you think? I'm not sure, but I'm going to go for it. Right, you can have a look in a minute. Right, there we have it. That's the first one apart. That's the speedo apart. So basically, all I've done is use a junior hacksaw and just cut all the way around the plastic casing, which obviously exposes the face and everything. I made a couple of little marks there and there, just so we can put the face back on, obviously in the same place it came off. So the next step, what I recommend is to ease the needle off using the 2 spoons method, so 1 spoon either side, and then obviously take the screws out and we'll change the faceplate over. As you can see, obviously the 1 screw there is missing, so let's try and get the needle off. Let's have a go. Got 2 spoons from the kitchen, don't tell the missus. There we go, that's the needle off. Came off fairly easily. I don't know if that's good or not. We'll soon find out. There we have it, that's the old faceplate off. I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's, yeah, that is indeed a sticker on there, and it's paper and pretty low quality as well. So yeah, that's naff, but it's going to get a new one on. And the only other thing to point out is I've used the air compressor just to blow all the little shavings of the plastic off. But we'll clean that up a bit before we glue it back together. So let's have a bash. Right, there we go, there's the new compared to the old one. So basically it's just the 2 screws back in, I've put the tiniest little blob of thread lock on them to try and obviously stop them coming out again in the future. You have to take the little bump stop off, so just tease that out with a pair of pliers, and then the tiniest little smidge of super glue back onto there. But there you go, that's the dials changed. So now we'll try gluing them back together and see how we get on. Alright, come back in a second. Right, there we go, we're finished. As you can see, I think they certainly look better than the black dials, and certainly better than the bloody horrible faded old black speedo dial. So quite happy with that. Is it a bit of a bodge? Quite probably. Is it a hack job? Certainly. But there we go, as you can see. Well, can you see? We're just left with the thin line where we'll cut through the plastic. There you go. I would say the hardest bit of it, really, obviously it's just the two screws. Prise the needle off with a pair of spoons, that came off no bother. The hardest bit was definitely the little bump stops there. For the needles, they're quite well jammed in on the old dials, so yeah, got to pull them out with a pair of pliers, but obviously they're quite little and puny, so that's very tricky and delicate. So what I've done is I've a little drop of super glue on the end when I've put those back in, and as I say, a little drop of thread lock on the screws to hopefully stop the vibrations of the bike having them fall back out. But I think you'll agree that certainly looks better. Now obviously, as I say, it is definitely a hack job, definitely a bit of a bodge. But on the plus side, by not prising the bezel off, I'm not left with any nasty kinks or anything around the outside of the bezels, and obviously all this bit is hidden within the pod, so you won't see the hack job anyway. So there we go, quite happy with them. Let me know what you think. See you all later. Bye.